I have created an image of a ping-pong table in a 3D modeling program, and the first thing we will need to do is import this image into our director movie. As before, we select File, Import, navigate to where we have stored our image. In this case, we are where we need to be in our Week 2 Resources folder. We double-click on the image, and we select Import. Now, this brings up a dialog box that asks us how we want to import this image. We will cover the details of this dialog later, but for now, let's just select Stage under Color Depth and leave everything else at its default. We click OK, and this brings in the image of the ping-pong table as a bitmap cast member. We can preview this image by double-clicking on its entry in the cast window. And there is our ping-pong table. We will use this image as a background for our animation of the ping-pong ball. Therefore, we will need to drag it onto our stage. If we drag the image into our first available sprite channel, which we need to open our score first, so we do Window, Score. Now, if we drag our bitmap into our first available sprite channel, it is placed on the center of our stage, which is where we want it to be. So we drag it into our first available sprite channel. Now we see it on our stage. We can make our score go away. Okay. Because it is in the first sprite channel, it is of necessity on the bottom layer of the stage. Therefore, anything else placed on the stage in the same frames will appear on top of it, which is what we want since it's our background image. Unfortunately, as you can see, our stage is not big enough to show the entire bitmap. We will need to make our stage bigger to accommodate this. How much bigger? Well, we want it to be the same size as our bitmap cast member. And we can find out how big our cast member is by selecting it in the cast window and opening the property inspector. Now, I mentioned in our previous lesson that there are many ways to access the different windows in Director. In the last lesson, I showed you how to access the different windows by selecting their entry under the window menu. And this is still a fine way of doing it. But so if we wanted to open the property inspector, we would select Window, Inspectors, Property. Okay. However, we can also open Windows by clicking on the appropriate button on the toolbar at the top of our Director window. By pausing our mouse over the buttons, we can see what window each will open. So we pause on this, we see the Stage window. If we click on Stage, well, it brings it to the fore. Click on it again, it makes it disappear. Okay. We have our Cast window. If we click on this, it brings our Cast window to the fore, makes it go away, makes it come back. Click on our Score window. Click on it, comes to the fore, goes away. Finally, we have our Property Inspector here, which is what we want. So we click on it, and this opens our Property Inspector. Making sure that we have the bitmap ping-pong table selected in our cast, we click on the Property Inspector button to open the Property Inspector window so that we can find out how big our image is. Now, under the Bitmap tab, we see that the dimensions for this object, this bitmap, are 640 by 480 pixels. We want our stage to be the same size. So keeping the Property Inspector open, we click the stage to access properties related to the stage. Okay. Notice our Property Inspector changes. We then click on Movie, where we can change the dimensions of our stage to match those of our bitmap. Okay, and we do this by selecting, entering in 640, by 480. Or for that matter, we could select this pop-up menu here. It gives us a list of common dimensions, and 640 by 480 is one of them. So we could select that, and it would automatically enter it in those fields there. Okay. We then close the property inspector, and we can sort of position our bitmap on the stage just by kind of dragging it, kind of eyeballing it to try to get it just right. But since we already know that dragging a cast member into the sprite channel as opposed to on the stage, if we drag it into the sprite channel, it automatically places that cast member in the center of the stage. Why don't we just delete this sprite? Okay, I selected it and pressed the delete key. I open my score window. I open my cast window. Do that again. See if I can find my cast window. It's kind of hiding somewhere, I suspect. There we go. There's my cast window. Now when I drag this into the score in the first channel, it automatically centers it on the stage. And we can close our windows there. And we see that it now covers the entire stage, which is what we wanted.